Well, just like that, 2025 is in our rear view mirror. So now that we're in 26, we're going to go back and look at December of 25, and the market's actually finished down. But what I want to talk about is not what happened in December. I want to step back and look at what happened in the year. It was another wonderful return in the equity markets. It was another wonderful return for the year in diversified portfolios. And yet, the year had almost a 20% decline in it in the equity markets from February to April. And it's just a reiteration that as long-term investors, we don't look at day to day. We don't really look at month to month even. And the purpose of these videos is to report when you open up your statements, what are you going to see? Are they up or down? But it's also to bring some perspective as to what's to happen, and more importantly, bring some perspective of why you don't need to be worrying about what happens day to day, month to month, in some cases even year to year. Because what history shows is having these long-term portfolios and having a long-term perspective can prevent us from reacting to things we don't need to react to. There was a lot of analysis done that we look at of predictions from many different firms. And in 2025, as in past years, the prediction was a lot lower than the actual return that we got. And that's why it's important not to hang ourselves on people that are trying to predict trends or the day-to-day movements of the market or even what the market's going to do in the next year. What we want to focus on is what do we not want to have exposed to the volatility of the market, because markets bounce around. And more importantly, what do we want to have set aside in cash, set aside conservatively to not take any risk with that we need in the short term. Because what we found at Forum Wealth is that the anxiety that investors feel over their portfolios are often tied to what the money that they need from their portfolios. And if that money is set aside, planned in advance of the need, we can then not have to react, worry, be caught up in the anxiety that comes from where's that money going to come from? And is the market down and now I need it? As we get into 2026, what do we know? We know that there's going to be volatility. We know there's going to be changes in interest rates. We know there's going to be talk about inflation. We know there's probably continued talk about tariffs. We know we're going to have midterm elections. And yet, we have a plan for 2026 to try and set aside and make sure those funds are pre-funded. And for those of you that shared with us what those needs are, we've already done the work to make sure 2026 is set aside. And so, as we reflect on the past, it's often been a lot better than we expected. And 25 was another year like that. And we're hoping 26 may be the same.